make Team USA angry by sending a very truthful tweet.
I guess that's how you talk, Kessel. I didn't know you talked like that. That's weird. So I was pretty critical of the World Cup of Hockey before it started, for a couple of reasons that I still stand by. Turns out I probably should have been a little harsher on Team USA instead. All in all, the tournament has been full of mostly very entertaining hockey. Or tweets, which, come on, USA Hockey. Honestly, people weren't happy with you as is. And then you get your feelings hurt over a tweet and try to make Kessel look like the bad guy? That just makes you look even worse. And that's really hard to do after you went 0-3-0. Bet you didn't know that a simple tweet was gonna get so much attention. I am totally Team Kessel. And honestly, it's the drama that I didn't know I needed in my life. One thing I've always admired about hockey is that in post-game interviews, it used to be about giving full credit to where credit was due. There's this certain amount of humility to hockey players, and they take full responsibility for their actions. Geez, even if they didn't mess up, they're taking full responsibility for the actions that happened. So it is a little shocking that they can be in such public denial that they didn't put the best team together. But the game is no longer the same, and USA Hockey decided to stay in the past. Speaking of changes, Kessel's tweet brings up something about the culture of the game. I was saying hockey players don't have this LeBron James mentality where they talk about how they're the greatest and they talk about other players aren't. And that's why that tweet is something that you really don't think of when you think of hockey players. But we also saw it with the Stanley Cup final run when Couture called out Crosby and said that he was a cheater. And there seems to be this clash of old versus new. It's happening a lot in hockey. It really is, with the analytics guys versus the character guys. It's happening everywhere. We're seeing it with coaches. Old school coaches blasting players like Matt Duchene for celebrating his 30th goal, his first 30th goal season. So it's a little bit naive to think that hockey culture isn't changing. I've always loved hockey players for their humility, but could that be changing? I think yes. Frankly, I'm loving it. Probably as much as I loved Team North America. They were truly the World Cup of Hockey's sweethearts. I was excited to see Team North America, and it turns out the NHL got it right with this one. And really, the only bummer was not getting to see them play against Team Canada. The main downfall of this tournament is when I was in Toronto, I was surprised how many people in the area had no clue what was going on. I mean, I was walking around with my USA scarf and I had it draped around me like a flag. People were like, oh, patriotic. I'm like, it's the World Cup of Hockey. Or even my friends who are into hockey who just aren't buying into the tournament. There is this disconnect between many fans of the sport and this tournament, which highlights one of hockey's biggest problems. When someone's team is out, fans drop off. Yes, it is something that happens in every sport, but seems to happen at a much higher rate for hockey. But also for this specific tournament, another issue is people in their early to mid-20s, the friends I was referring to who aren't buying into it, haven't seen a World Cup for hockey since before they were teenagers. There have been 3 Olympics since then, 2006, 2010, and 2014. Hockey for too long has relied on its past, and the Canada Cup and the Summit Series without building new traditions. They've been all over the place, and wonder why people don't care about the 3rd World Cup of Hockey in 20 years. If this is ever going to be successful, the NHL will have to keep good on its word and actually do this every 4 years. And maybe stop blocking the F out. Cause right now, when you say World Cup, most people only think of soccer. Also, another small change I'd like to see in this tournament, besides it being run by the NHL, them not sending their players to the Olympics, and having a confusing team structure, is the tiebreaker in the group stage. Like, really, this is the one thing you decide to keep the same as the Olympics? Not the whole people representing their countries thing? Head to head as the first tiebreaker. First, they have condensed the playing field down. They literally took a whole continent and its most talented players and said, here, play. The playing field was purposefully made to be extremely competitive. There shouldn't be any games where Slovakia is getting blown out 9-0. These games should have been close. So when it comes to breaking a tie, why would you only want to look at the outcome of one specific game instead of looking at all of the data available? Team A could have had one bad shift or one bad bounce not go their way and cause them to lose one game to Team B. But that Team A beat Teams C and D by a more dominant fashion than Team B did. But hey, Team B should advance. That one shift or one bad bounce, That's all we need to know. In the Olympics, it makes sense. You have Slovakia, Slovenia, Norway, all playing with maybe one good player. So yeah, head-to-head makes a little more sense because if you can't beat Slovenia, you shouldn't be advancing. But when you're playing against an entire damn continent, maybe head-to-head, not the best way to do it. The even crazier part for me is that they didn't want the final to be just one game. I don't get this logic. Well, except maybe the whole making money logic. When the tournament is very clearly a money grab, it is no surprise that many people aren't buying into it. What do you think about this tournament? What changes would you like to see in future iterations? And do you think that the NHL will actually put it on again in 4 years? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching Off the Ice, and until next time, guess who's the Stanley Cup champion? Phil Kessel.